What if I told you that the newest toon in Dandy's world might secretly be the most horrifying character in the entire game? Not because he's dangerous or powerful, but because Squirm represents something far worse, a being created to be trapped within his own mind and body. Squirm the Bookworm was introduced February 27, 2026, alongside the achievement update. As the Dandy's World wiki puts it, Squirm is a caterpillar-like toon with 6 body segments, which alternate in color between blue and mint. He features antennae at the top of his head, which are also mint-colored. Just by looking at Squirm in his render and art, you can tell that he seems shy and even fearful based on his expression. Personality-wise, Squirm can be described as an anxious and pessimistic toon, often participating in self-depreciating talk and vocalizing his fears. Within his dialogues, and with other toons and to himself, he often stutters and sniffles. Squirm is very interesting in this aspect, as he is the only toon to display these tendencies alongside this very anxiety-riddled behavior. Diving a little bit deeper, his introduction card can be found within the library floor, and it reads, Squirm is a meek and anxious bookworm, with the habit of chewing on any book he reads. His nervous tendencies often make things difficult for him, but he always tries his best. This further confirms that he does in fact struggle with anxiety, and it reveals a very important detail. He tends to cope with his anxiety by eating and chewing on books. This is even referenced in his dialogue with Brightney, where it appears that he was banned from Brightney's book club due to consuming all of the books. While all of these details may seem pretty mundane on the surface, I feel like there's way more to Squirm. His constant feeling of impending doom in every dialogue, facial expressions, and mannerisms could be interpreted as something other than just his natural behavior. These could all be signs of nervousness and insecurity, which would then beg the question, why? Well, I propose my personal theory. What if Squirm's behavior isn't due to weakness, but manipulation? This isn't the story of a toon who was created to be a failure, or of one who wasn't destined to become more. It's the story of one who was never allowed to try. In order to understand Squirm's lore, we must remind ourselves that every toon was created. As we know, Arthur Woolton and Delilah Keene are the founders of Gardenview, as well as the creators of the toons. Arthur is best known for creating references and art concept of each toon, whereas Delilah is best recognized for bringing these toons to life via ichor, a black substance that is used as currency within the game. Now, the reason I bring this up is because each toon was created with a curated personality in mind, as well as their distinct physical features. In movies, shows, and games, character design is a very telling and important detail that as consumers or players we are given, as it often helps us differentiate which character is a mascot from a character who isn't. Beyond that, the way a character is presented can show other important details, such as their overall behavior, lore, interests, and role. By taking a quick look at Squirm, it's evident that something is off with him. His droopy eyes relay him to be in a constant state of worry and panic, his squiggly mouth shows uneasiness, and of course, his idle animation displays a sense of anxiety as he guards his face with his hands and quickly scans his surroundings. While there's a lot we can gather from his design and mannerisms, there's also a lot we can learn from his dialogues and interactions with fellow toons. For instance, we learn that Squirm tends to overthink everything he does. This is emphasized through his personal dialogues, such as, oh goodness, did I do that right? Did I? And I hope I didn't mess up, after finishing extracting a machine. This is further reinforced during a dialogue with Razzle and Dazzle. What if the next floor is worse? What if it's the worst floor ever? Whoa. Squirm, you may be overthinking things some. Breathe. But what if? Or this could be great, knowing we have each other. That's right. See, Squirm, you're with us. You're both right. Having you around does make this a bit better. So yes, it's very clear that Squirm is an overthinker and battles with anxiety. Something else Squirm displays is negative self-talk and a deep sense of insecurity. Sadly enough, he partakes in self-depreciating talk with Shrimpo, where he agrees with the negative comments that Shrimpo makes towards him. A second instance of Squirm showing a deep sense of insecurity occurs with Glisten, but in a pretty wholesome way. Squirm states that he's a failure, to which Glisten responds that that isn't true and that he's being far too hard on himself. Squirm replies, that's easy for you to say, you're perfect at everything. And in true Glisten fashion, he agrees, but offers support in his own way. Squirm then agrees, and Glisten concludes the conversation once again in true Glisten fashion. So far, we've gained 2 main ideas about Squirm. 1, that he's an overthinker, and 2, that he's insecure. But there's still one more crucial piece of information that many players have missed, and this single line changes just about everything we thought we knew about Squirm. In a dialogue between Squirm and Flutter, Flutter seems to ask Squirm a question, to which Squirm responds that he thought so as well. Flutter then asks further questions, to which Squirm says, I know, but he said I'm a bookworm. And so, I must be a bookworm. The conversation then concludes with Squirm suggesting to spend more time with Flutter. While at first this dialogue seems unassuming, further analysis leads us to concluding that the he Squirm mentioned isn't a fellow toon, but none other than founder Arthur Woolton. A Reddit post that caught this interaction had several Redditors posting who they thought he referred to which most believe it is Arthur. One Redditor states, "I wonder who he is. I think it's Arthur. He says if he says that he's a bookworm, he must be a bookworm. It tells me that he has authority, and if he called him that, then it's who he is, who he's designed to be. I think it makes sense for it to be Arthur," which I totally agree with as well. So what exactly does this really mean? Well, because we pieced together that the he Squirm referred to is probably Arthur, we can infer that Flutter and Squirm were talking about what exactly Squirm is. But this is just one piece of the puzzle. With some additional context alongside this piece of dialogue, one of the darkest truths within Gardenview may have just been uncovered. As discussed, achievements in Squirm weren't the only new things added to the update, as we also received a library floor. This floor was, of course, filled with books, tables, seats, and other things you typically find in a library. The most important detail, however, is that it also contained a little reading corner. In this corner are plushies of Dandy and Pebble, beanbags, decorative starlights, and a sign that says Squirm's Junior Reading Nook. This is advertised as a spot for children in grades kindergarten through 3rd to relax and find age-appropriate books. This is an important detail, but we'll dive more into it later. A second detail regards something that we haven't seen before from Squirm, as his render, stickers, and art all depict him frowning. It's a smile. Now, why the sudden change in demeanor? Well, if we pan down, we'll see that Squirm is reading. However, he's not just reading any old book. He's specifically reading and looking at a book about butterflies. He seems to not only be happy and content, but to be admiring the butterflies on the page. A third and final detail that I believe ties everything together is the book-eating habit that we all know Squirm has. Not only is this shown in his toon form during his ability, but also when he's a twisted. And interestingly enough, his twisted form resides halfway in a cocoon. While the majority of the time he seems to eat due to stress or anxiety, I propose another theory. A theory that would tie in all the previous details into one. What if the reason Squirm tends to eat any book or paper in sight is to try and achieve an innate desire, metamorphosis, aka become a butterfly? His twisted form quite literally shows him suspended from a broken cocoon, and as we know, cocoons are where caterpillars transition into butterflies. Suddenly, the conversation between Flutter and Squirm makes a lot of sense, especially if what Flutter was asking Squirm was if and when he would become a butterfly. This would also account for Squirm's childlike behavior and possibly the Squirm Junior Reading Nook sign, which advertised the space for a less mature audience. These details could show that mentally, Squirm is underdeveloped, despite being told that this is his final form. While Quell did confirm he is an adult, mentally, his age may be younger. And finally, this theory could be hinted at by the fact that the only time we see Squirm smile is when he sees pictures of butterflies, possibly showing his yearn and desire to become one. Imagine being created for transformation, and then being told you never will. So, Squirm isn't a failed butterfly. He's a caterpillar who was denied the chance to become one, a toon who lives in a perpetual state between what he is and what he could have been. Now, there is so much we still have to learn about Squirm, and as the Dandy's World lore continues to develop, I hope we're able to confirm exactly what happened to Squirm and discover his lore entirely. But with that said, I hope you enjoyed my little breakdown on my personal theory and maybe even discovered a detail that you hadn't noticed before. Feel free to let me know your theories down below and if there's anything that I missed. So that's it from me. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I wish you all an amazing day, stay safe, and remember that God loves you. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.